I'm Ria Bia.
I'm Ranella.
And I'm Dandada.
And this is I Survived 2020,
a podcast
And lifestyle brand.
dedicated to shining a light on stories of opportunity born out of adversity.
Recorded live at my pod studio in Pasadena, California. Keep us locked.
Okay. Welcome back to another episode of I Survived 2020 podcast. I'm your host, Ria Bia, here with my lovely husband, Marcus Johnson. What's up?
Hey, I'm just happy to be here. You know, another episode. We got a wonderful guest today. But I do want to start off by saying rest in peace to Black Rob, another hip hop legend that we lost. Wow.
Yeah.
Just like shocked.
Yeah, completely shocked with that. And, as the news pours in, we just lost DMX a couple of weeks ago, and now Black Rob. It's just, I hate to see it. I hate to hear it every time it happens.
Yeah, another, hip hop legend that dealt with a lot of adversity, in his career and in his personal life. And, to see back-to-back, losses in hip hop, it's a real tragedy. So rest in peace to Black Rob.
On another note, the world is starting to open up.
Yes, it is.
We are nearing herd immunity. NBA games are coming back with actual fans.
Yes.
Like we had a Laker-Clipper game, and that was the first. I'm sorry, not Laker-Clipper. Lakers and Celtics actually played each other. And
we took the L, but I mean, Staples Center is open. I think they had about 2,000
about 2,000 fans there.
So it looks like the light at the end of the tunnel is starting to show.
Absolutely. And one of the things like throughout this whole pandemic, while people have been at home and social distancing, one of the main things that I hear people talk about is how they've been able to like binge watch shows and catch up on shows they've been wanting to watch that have been on their playlist and on their watch list. Like, one of the shows that just keeps coming up everywhere I go. It doesn't matter if I'm at the hair salon. I went to a birthday dinner the other day, and literally the whole birthday dinner, everybody was talking about Snowfall on FX. So
it's like the hottest show in years.
Absolutely.
Especially with folks that look like us. This show is huge, and we have a guest here today. You want to introduce him?
Yeah, absolutely. Our guest, so excited to have him here, is none other than actor, producer, director, Amin Joseph.
Yes, sir.
Yay!
Amin Joseph in the building.
What's good?
AKA
Uncle Jerome.
Thanks for that brilliant introduction. I like that.
Of course, we're so happy to have you here and excited to talk about what you have going on, as well as obviously people want to know what's going on with the show. But how are you doing? What's been going on with you lately?
I'm great. I'm just taking in all of the amazing feedback from the show that is every Wednesday, 10 p.m. We got our season finale coming up. Might as well get that plugged in now.
Absolutely.
But it's been a great season. And me and my castmates, we're enjoying the ride.
That's right.
As you should. Now let's go back. Let's talk about Amin Joseph's early beginnings. Now you're from Harlem, correct?
That's right. Harlem.
I mean, obviously we see we see where he's transmitting live from.
Exactly.
From the block.
Exactly. We on the stoop right now.
Right now, Harlem World in the building.
Harlem was always...
you need something from the store?
From the bodega? Is that what they call it? Look at him.
Yo, keep the change, shorty. Keep the change,
shorty.
Harlem was always known as like the place for Black art and Black literature, So growing up there, how did growing up in Harlem inspire who you are today?
I mean, Harlem is like a cacophony of sound and culture and music and attitude, and it's our culture, is Black culture on display for the entire world. We call Harlem that Mecca, everything from the Apollo Theater to Sugar Hill.
That's right.
It's what's funny about Harlem is that it's eclectic. It has a lot of influence from a lot of different culture, but it's unapologetically Black culture too. And it represents that melting pot. That's America.
That's right.
Absolutely. So how did you get into acting? Did you catch the acting bug like as a youngster in Harlem growing up and just, being inspired by
Yeah.
anybody? Where
I
did
mean,
the acting
I
come from?
started off at the Apollo Theater, you know, the National Black Theater of Harlem.
Legendary,
Um,
legendary theater.
I've gone to so many. I got so many deep roots in Harlem. I was originally born in Queens, so I'm a city boy all the way.
Hmm.
But Harlem is where I kind of found the craft of acting, and you know, I grew up in the Apollo Theater, so I was able to see. I mean, that's like the epicenter of Black art around the world.
Right.
And so I was able to see so many performers, um, you know, get their start there or come through there while they were on their meteoric rise. So it's a lot of legacy, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, I ran the streets of Harlem, 125th Street. You know, I'm from St. Nick Projects, 123rd and Lenox. So, you know, it's just it's so nostalgic to me. I love going back. It's still a community where we support our own, and yeah, it's just very influential in my as far as what makes me.
Now you have a lot of credits. Like before this interview, I was doing a little Google search, and I'm like, he has been consistently working since you were pretty young, correct?
He's been booked and busy.
Yeah, like
Amy's been booked
literally,
and
I'm
busy,
like
for
his
real.
resume is like.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like to stay busy, especially when I was younger. You know, just putting in a lot of reps. I believe that you're supposed to work. If you're not working, you should be training. You know,
right.
so when I want to put that training into use, is working, right? So to me, it's about getting a lot of reps. So that means, you know, as far as films or projects, I've kissed plenty of toad projects, you know, coming up. But it's reps, and it gets you prepared for whatever is placed in front of you. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, that's theater, that's film, that's whatever medium I choose to perform in. But I love
Right.
to stay equally busy in all of the different disciplines.
You know what I could appreciate is I saw an episode of Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl from like 10 years ago where you were on there killing this donut. Uh, and for me, I was just like, this is so dope because Issa Rae is obviously in that show. And then you were in there, and I'm like, fast forward to now and seeing where they're both at. It's such an inspiration. And like you said, you just kept working and working and working and building your resume. And now you're like on the hottest show on TV.
Yeah, big shout out to Issa Rae. I mean, we see what
Most
she's
definitely.
doing. I mean, we always I think we overuse the term brand, but she epitomizes a brand, and she's a down to earth sister that gave me a shot to work on her show way back when they were doing Awkward Black Girl, and it's just amazing to see where she's at right now.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Speaking of way back, Amin, I remember, I think it was 2015. You were working on, you had just finished the Dope movie project, and I ran into you out in Cannes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I
Film
remember
festival.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Faded night out on the
out
strip,
Cannes.
on the what's the strip called again? The Coquette? What is it? What is the strip called? I
can't
forgot.
remember. That was my first time in Cannes, France.
Yeah, that strip starts with a C. I can't.
It was
I'm gonna get it before this is over.
It was so much going
But
on.
yeah, we were out there,
Yeah.
and who was out there? I know it was Red and Chris. It was a lot of people.
Chris
out
Brown was out
that
there.
particular can.
Quincy was out
Quincy,
there.
yeah, Quincy was in the movie.
Yeah. How was that experience? I know Pharrell executive produced that film.
Yeah, Pharrell was out. Yeah, Pharrell
Yeah.
was out there. It was a good time. It was a really fun time with that particular film, Dope, which I actually think is an underrated film.
It's very underrated.
I feel like Dope is really a
Oh
classic
yeah,
film.
that was a great film.
Based in LA. It's definitely overrated, but to me, it's one of those sleepers. You know, but it's a classic sleeper. You know, if you know about it, you know about
Right.
it, and you watch it. You still
Right.
watch it to this day.
Even if you look at Dope, the premise of it, you know, with the whole changing the dope into Bitcoin, like there's a lot of game in Dope, honestly.
Yeah, we got to
A
get
lot of
people to
people
go back.
wasn't up on cryptocurrency at the time, so
We got to get people to go back and watch that movie.
Yeah,
you know,
it was
it's
like
really a
before its
film.
time.
It was
Rick
before its
Famuyiwa.
time.
Now, fast forward, you're on this show, Snowfall, which is the brainchild of the late, great John Singleton. How did you go about getting this role? Was this something that your agent was like, yo, there's this role that we want you to audition for, or was it a conversation that you had with John? How did you get this role as Jerome on Snowfall?
Actually, I had auditioned for Snowfall the previous time that it was that it went out. So this is the second iteration of Snowfall. The first time it was actually D. Ray Davis that plays Peaches, played Jerome.
Wow.
Lauren London played Aunt Louie, and Jill Scott played Sissy Saint. So you can tell that there was a lot of differences. Damson Idris played it in that first iteration as well. But they wanted to retool the pilot over at FX. And when they did that, I came in to audition for it again. And then, it's the current cast that you see now and the current producers that came about with that second pass of the pilot.
Got you. So how was it for you? Obviously, you grew up like in the 80s and 90s when John Singleton was like putting out hits. Like he really shined a light on the Black community. He was the director responsible for doing a lot of that. So when you finally get this role and you're working alongside John Singleton, was that kind of like a surreal moment for you where you were like, what is happening right now?
Most definitely. I mean, anytime that that's what I'm saying. That's what you're preparing for in a career, is to work with the people of your time, to be, to make sure that you're working with your peers in the most optimal situations, so that it can get the best out of your own creativity. So working with John was a godsend at the time. And I really appreciate, the 4 years that we had being able to collaborate together. Be able to, to represent his community with a story that he wanted to tell.
Absolutely.
And him choosing someone like me, and putting that responsibility on my back to be able to express the humanity that he wanted to show in his community. I'll ever be grateful for for the codes and the roadmap that he left. And that, I know that he's still with us. And I mean, John actually told us how popular this show was going to be.
Wow.
And, yeah. And in the beginning, because like actors, sometimes we're like children. We want things, instant gratification. Right. But he said, it's going, like, they're going to catch up to the show. And this show is going to be an amazing, a huge hit. And I still don't think that the show is where it's going to be. From what he said, he really said that this thing was going to be huge. Right. And but he had a circle of truth about telling a certain type of story.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's great working with filmmakers like that. We have so many filmmakers that have yet to put their imprint on their filmography, and I just can't wait to work with so many emerging and already established filmmakers.
Most definitely. So for me, I grew up in the Bay Area. I grew up in Oakland, California, in an era where drugs and crime. I mean, Oakland is a beautiful city. There's a lot of history, Black Panthers, so many beautiful things about Oakland. And when I look at Harlem, it's a city filled with a lot of rich history and culture and music and art and fashion. But there was an era where Harlem, just like most inner cities, got hit hard with, the crack, cocaine, and the drug era. Growing up in that era and in that city, how did it help you prepare for this current role as Jerome Saint?
Well, I often say that, growing up, you don't really, you really can't put in context your environment when you're that young. So I didn't really understand what a crack vial was. A crackhead was just something that you called somebody, right? To talk about them disparagingly. I didn't really make the connection of like, oh, that person is on this drug, and not at that time.
Right.
But as you get older, you realize that some of the fathers not in the home, some of my friends that, had to grow up in foster care because their mothers would relapse. And then all the functioning drug addicts that were in my neighborhood, in my community, you start realizing, oh, this is what that small drug does. And luckily for me, I wasn't influenced to try that drug, but it was all around me. It was all around my community. So, what we talking about now, 20 some years later, to be able to tell a story that is impactful to my community, that shows these people that lived in those times, not just as a caricature, but bring humanity, bring life, spirit, bring a jovial love of life, bring all of the complexities of the ego and wanting to be rich and wanting to be successful, wanting to be one of the haves and rather than the have-nots, to be able to tell that, a complete story also from, beginning to end, like we will be able to tell with Snowfall, is really important to me, because it did affect my personal life, it affect my family, it affect my community. We're still dealing with their grandmothers right now.
Yeah.
That that lost a great majority of their life because of this epidemic, and we're still dealing with the residual of it. So that part of it means the most to me, honestly, to realize that there was something that happened, and for all the geopolitical thing that with our government, with the CIA, for all of the things that we that we had dealers that came into communities, and although they were very generous, there was also a soul being pulled out of the community. There's just the people, there's just the community themselves, there's just the children that grew up in that time, people like me as a shorty at that time, that I feel needs to know the complete story of what was going on, and perhaps we can love ourselves and forgive ourselves.
Ooh. Wake them up. That's deep. That's deep.
No, that's true. It's almost like a full circle moment, like your experiences, what you observed growing up, and then where you're at now and the role you're playing, and it is a full circle moment where you can come back and shine the light on
that's
things.
what when you sign up, for a lifetime of putting your time, your energy into a craft, is for these types of roles. I can play a gamut of different roles. I already have, and I'll continue to in the future. But these hold these hold a special place in my heart, because I know the community that I come from was experienced this, and like I said, there's a lot of PTSD. So if I can be a conduit, if I can be that vessel that brings some clarity, brings some empathy to the people that experience this, it means a lot. That's what, that's the greatest, forget the trophies, forget all of that. That's the greatest feeling as an artist. And I shared that with John. John, that's who John is. John is about taking the humanity from his community and putting it on the largest screens, in the theater, on the small screen, and putting a close up on our humanity, like no one ever else had. So
he's done it time and time again with so many classic movies and now TV shows. So
do you feel after the passing of John Singleton, do you feel some level of responsibility to carry on that legacy and just like carry the torch pretty much, and like you said, you want to take on roles that are meaningful to you. I feel like a lot of times when people are coming up in the game, they just take everything that's thrown at them. Are you at a point in your career where it's like you're only going to take on roles that are meaningful to you?
I think, see, I've had an opportunity to do both. I've had an opportunity to do a lot of roles that weren't meaningful to me, just to suffice as an actor and keep a roof over my head.
Right.
Yeah.
As I was, sharpening my skills. I think that there are certain actors that from the jump, they know that this is the type of these are the type of roles that they want to play, and they're very frequency specific on that. I don't think that's the circle of truth that every entertainer or actor has. I feel like you may find that at some point in your career. Where I'm at right now in my career is a place where I'm a bit more intentional with what I do. But a lot of that is not just because I want each film to mean something or each role to mean something personally to me. It's not that much. It's that I've done a lot of work.
Right.
So once you've done for me, once I've done so much, it's kind of like, as even for a character like, and when I say character, I use that loosely because these are a little closer to me than characters.
Right.
But even for this portrayal of Jerome Saint, I would have to think, where would I be able to top it with the type of writing, with the type of producers, the type of studio that I've had behind me with this particular portrayal? Where would I top that? Therefore, it may be a closed book on this type of character, this particular type of character.
Got you. So, Snowfall, at one point, Freeway Ricky Ross came out and said that he had a conversation with John Singleton, and they were talking about working on some projects together, and then John kind of disappeared, and then Snowfall came out not too far after that. To your knowledge, does Snowfall have anything to do? Is it a depiction of the life of Freeway Rick Ross, or is it something completely separate?
Freeway is one of the biggest dealers in Southern California. Yeah. California, period.
Right.
So, of course, when you tell a story like this, and also the implications with the CIA, there's definitely a lot of similarities. Mm-hmm. So whether, I can't really get into what Freeway talked to John about,
right?
Because I wasn't privy to that. I've heard it from Freeway. I know Freeway. I consider Freeway a great man and a friend. Mm-hmm. So I would love to see Freeway be able to get his opportunity to tell his story unapologetically.
Most definitely.
I think it's a story that needs to be told.
Absolutely.
I think that Snowfall is a fictional story. So we know that this isn't that story, but I think the issue is that he may have had, certain conversations and with John, and I don't know where art and business meet. Often there can be, a lot of confusion,
right?
Especially if there was promises made. So of course I'm not privy to that. Mm-hmm. What although I know Freeway ain't gonna, he ain't gonna watch or Snowfall. But
he made that clear.
That he supports people like me,
right?
And that's all that really matters to me. And I would love to see, Big Bro get an opportunity to tell his story.
Definitely. So Snowfall is having a lot of success. Everybody's watching it. Everything is going great for the show, for the actors involved. And then you guys, we all lose John Singleton. Huge loss to the culture, to film, to the world. How did that affect you moving forward as your character on the show? How did that affect you?
It was a big heartbreak, we lost John about episode 7 of season 3. And of course, it shocked us.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was tough. You know, it was really tough. Yeah, we you know, we didn't miss a beat. We finished out the season. You know, John was laid to rest. You know, in that season, he, you know, we were picked up for another season. You know, within those last 3 episodes, it was really tough. It went by kind of fast. It was almost a little surreal.
Yeah.
We had to watch John's family grieve for him, close to, you know, several members of his family. John was so big on family. He made Snowfall feel like a family. He brought in, he hand tapped people to work in the various different, you know, positions, but in front of and behind the camera. He was just a very hands-on, enthusiastic spirit. And when you lose that, you can't replace it.
Right.
You can only hope that you can have a circle of truth around your head to sustain, maintain, and carry forth his marching orders. Trust in the blueprint that the writers and the producers that have worked along with him to tell the story, and then, you know, compartmentalize and then show up to set as an actor and knock it out, you know.
I think it's dope how you said that early on. John pretty much told you all how successful this show is going to be, and you know, it was announced that it just got picked up for season 5. So congratulations on that.
Yes, sir.
That's a big
It's
deal.
huge. That's huge.
What other opportunities have come from this? Because I'm sure your phone is blowing up at this point, and everybody's trying to get you to work for them.
From your lips to God's ears, you know. I feel like you know, this business, you never know when it's your time. The best thing you can do as an artist, whether things look up or down, is to stay ready.
That's right.
Stay prepared. Stay prayed up. You know, because we don't know what tomorrow. You know, when John mentioned, yo, this is going to be big. Sometimes we would be on press runs in different cities, and, you know, I'll be in his hotel room and we just talking afterward, right? And I'm like, yo, why, you know, like, why is the audience ain't feeling Snowfall yet? What's going on? And he'd be like, just calm down. Right. Damn.
He's like, it's gonna blow.
It's coming.
You like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. I've told y'all, motherfuckers.
Trust me. Trust me.
Trust me. It's gonna happen. Yeah. And you know, I just never thought that he wouldn't be in the flesh,
right,
to see that the fruits of that labor, you know, or to see that and be able to go, I told you.
Right.
That's how he is. But he is with us, you know. He is with us. He is with me, and he set us up, you know. Another generation of artists. Look at it, from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s to 2000. Here we are in 2020, and still the work that he did while he was here,
right?
The intention that he had while he was here, it still manifests, you know, and it's still helping artists like myself and my crew and cast.
Absolutely.
You know, so and also the audience that is able to see this kind of chilling tale. So big shout out to John Singleton.
Big shout out to John Singleton. Rest in peace. So you guys are, you know, everything's going good. You know, the show is, like, again, it's everybody's talking about it. 2020 comes along. COVID comes along. Obviously, shows had to pause. Sets got shut down. Did that affect the production of of the show?
Yeah, we were in episode 4 of season 4 when we shut down in March, mid-March, or I think of maybe around March 12th, somewhere between March 12th and the 15th, we shut down. And we didn't come back until October 1st. So that was, hiatus due to the pandemic. And as we know, we had the summer of, George Floyd and so many things that we have a lot of international actors on our cast. So people had to do the right thing for their families and go home to their respective countries. And we all had to deal with life, which is also a part of this, is that Snowfall is just in some way retelling a story that happened. And, but we still have to live our lives on this timeline,
Right.
That's right.
So it was good for people, in my opinion, to be able to go home to take care of the things that are most important to us. And then, with the right type of protocols, we were able to go back to shoot, and we wrapped it up right before February. So it was really, and we were one of the first shows to come back in Los Angeles. And, we had perhaps one shutdown right before our winter break, right before Christmas. And, but that was minor. And then we were back at it in the new year. So really proud of our crew. That's tough, even for the actors to come. That's something, because we at a certain point, you got to take off all your PPE. And with this virus that we didn't really know, but by the fall, we kind of knew some things about it.
Right.
But there was no vax out at that time, and it was a lot of precautionary testing, and that's it's pretty stressful. A lot of anxiety to that. But our crew, from the Teamsters, the truckers, to our catering, to all the staffing, those people have to get to their jobs, sometimes 6 hours, 5 hours before we even show up.
Yeah.
And we need to think about those people also when we talk about like the people that John Singleton has touched, or that are FX as a studio and network, all the jobs, how many people can really go 6 months and further without being employed,
Right.
without having a steady paycheck. So for us to get back and to be able to do that right during this pandemic, and then you see the fruits of our labor with season 4, I think you can kind of see the integrity that this particular group has,
Absolutely. You touched on something really good. Like, I think for everybody during 2020, when everything just came to a pause, like, it really gave us a time to focus on like family, being at home. I know for us, we have a 2-year-old at home who, it's been such a pleasure, like sitting at home with him, although it's driving us crazy sometimes.
It hasn't been easy.
It hasn't been easy, but you wouldn't be able to get that any other time, So I think for me, at least, I appreciate for the past year being at home with our 2-year-old and being able to spend that time. And I'm sure you felt the same. Shout outs to your beautiful wife, a friend of mine, Felicia.
Shout out to Felicia.
But yeah, so we're just so, there goes a beautiful picture. Such a beautiful family, just like good energy, real people, always cool.
Humble.
We're just so happy to see everything you have going on, Amin, and that you're getting your flowers while you're still here. And I've been with John Singleton. I feel like this show has no limits. I mean, like I told you, everywhere I go, people are like, "Are you watching Snowfall? Are you watching Snowfall? Are you watching Snowfall?" I'm like, dang, it's really blowing up.
I haven't seen a show like that had this type of impact in years. So I'm super proud of you, bro. Amin, you coming a long way in this industry. You've always been a stand-up guy. Just super proud of you.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Thank you, my bro. Thank you. I appreciate it. Listen, we just getting started on Snowfall. So, for all the the viewers that's just now, starting to
waking up,
binge and check it out on Hulu. Y'all just, hold on to your seats. We about to once you give us the steering wheel, we got this now, and
sure.
we're gonna finish this out as strong as possible. Like I said, we got our big ancestor, John Singleton, but we got a phenomenal writing staff and showrunning with Dave Andron and Walter Mosley. And each year we bring some fire sisters, Janine Daniels, into the room. We've had a great cast of Black women this season, women of color, period. And I feel like we're going to continue to tell a entertaining and also educational tale. I feel like that, and we're just starting. So, thank you for the flowers, but you know what?
We just get started.
We're gonna, we got a lot of work to do here. We ain't finished yet.
Nah, not at all. Not at all. Just excited for everything you have coming up, and we'll keep it locked in on Snowfall to see everything Uncle Jerome is gonna do.
And the finale is coming up, and I can't wait to see the finale because I know it's gonna be crazy.
Exactly. Yeah, the finale's crazy. You want to give us? No one's going to see what's to come. Everybody's not going to make it.
Okay, that's all. That's all.
I will say this last episode, your character tapped into some raw emotion, and I was like, this is real. Like,
it's intense.
Nah, I was like, Amin is in here tapping into some stuff right now because it was just so realistic and believable. And that's something that we're not used to seeing from your character. And I was like, he got it.
Yeah. The great thing about, being on a series like this for, since the inception of it, is that you get a chance to really evolve, oftentimes when you see characters like this, you think very stereotypical of them, and it helps like, again, when your number's called, that you're prepared, that you're ready to tap into a different frequency, to tap into a different reality of how we feel as full-fledged spirits, and so with this character, I can be jovial, I can be evil, I can be vindictive, I can seek revenge, I can be soft and loving. And I'm just very appreciative that we have writers that see, a character like mine, a Black man, is, big and black, as more than just a monolith.
Yeah. I will say, and you guys are hearing it from me, I think that the biggest Halloween costume of 2021 will be your character.
Jerome Saint.
Yes, absolutely.
But you got to get
that's a possibility.
You got to get the Jerry curl right.
You got to get the curl right.
You got to have the right curl to play Jerome Saint, because you got to have a California curl.
Yeah, you got to have the right. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for joining us, my brother.
Thanks for having me, guys.
We really do appreciate you, and we wish you much success on your journey. We will definitely be there every step of the way. And anytime that you want to come back to I Survive 2020 podcast, hopefully next time in person, you're more than welcome.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Yes, appreciate you.
Appreciate you, my brother.
All right, love.
Much love.
Much
Thank you.
Love.
Peace.